Hello everyone, my name is Tom, Japanese tutor. Today I'd like to talk about pitch accent. Pitch accent is an important part of speaking Japanese. Acquiring accurate pitch accents help you improve your Japanese fluency. In this video, you're going to study the Tokyo style accent, which is considered the standard accent for Japanese, and how it works. So let's get started. These are the contents I'll explain today. Difference between English and Japanese. What is Japanese pitch accent? Examples of Tokyo style accent. 4 types of pitch accent and its notation. Basic rules of Tokyo style accent. And practice. So let's move on to the first item. Before we get into the main topic, let's take a look at the difference between English and Japanese word pronunciations. English is called a stress-timed language. Stressed syllables are louder and longer than non-stressed syllables. Let's look at an example. Population. 4 syllables. When broken down, it looks like this. Population. I'm sorry, but I'm not a native speaker and may not be able to pronounce this word properly. Please bear with me. So what I want to say is that English is a language with stress accent. English has stress accents. So next, let's look at the characteristic of Japanese. Japanese is called a mora timed language. Let's look at an example. 学生 student. If you break it down, it looks like this. 学生 for moras. So absolute moras are more or less equal in duration, and stress accents are not used to recognize a word. If you want to know more about mora, please refer to another my video about it. In Japanese, pitch accents are used to recognize a word instead. So let's look at the example again. 学生. So the pitch goes like this. 学生. It goes low, high, high, and high. However, this is not to say that stress accents are not used at all in Japanese. If a speaker says part of a word with a stronger stress, this is a case of conveying some emotion. So, therefore, stress accents are not a factor in identifying a word. Now let's get down to business. Today's main topic. What is pitch accent? Pitch accent has a unique high-low pitch pattern for each word. The high and low pitch functions to distinguish words of the same sound and to convey word or phrase separation. There are different styles of pitch accent by region. Tokyo style accent is widely used in Japan and considered as a standard accent. So look at this word as an example and pronounce this word. Actually, this word has 2 different pronunciations. The first one means 5 days. The second one means sometime. So now I'll say the first word. 5日 5日 itsuka. So low, high, high. And then I'll say the second word. Itsuka. Itsuka. High, low, low. So as you can see, in some cases, the difference between the high and low accents changes the meaning. Of course, even if the above high-low accent is pronounced incorrectly, in most cases, native speakers will understand which word is intended from the context. However, incorrect high and low accents give an unnatural impression in terms of fluency. So now let's look at some examples of Tokyo-style accents. Now let's look at three nouns as examples. Can you pronounce each word correctly? All three words have the same sounds of hiragana letters. Now let's say them with a correct high-low accent. The first one is chopsticks. Hashi, hashi, high-low pattern. The second one is bridge. Hashi, hashi, low, high pattern. The third one means edge or side. Hashi, hashi. This is also low, high pattern. So the second and third have the same pitch pattern. Now let's pronounce each word attaching the ga case particle. So the first one is chopsticks again. Hashiga, hashiga. High, low, low pattern. And the second is bridge. Hashiga, hashiga. Low, high, low pattern. And third is edge or side. Hashiga, hashiga. Low, high, high. So, as I have just pronounced, these three words have different pronunciation types. So actually, the first one is called initial high. The first mora is high. And the second type is called tail high. The last mora of the word is high. And the third type is called flat. So the pitch never drops. That's flat. So actually, the tail high and flat types have different pitches when they are followed by a particle. Just we've seen attaching the ga case particle. And there are a total of 4 types of Tokyo style accent actually. So let's take a look at them. Now let's look at 4 types of Tokyo style accent. Number 1, initial high type, or it's called head high type. Atama daka gata in Japanese. The pitch starts high on the first mora and drops from the second. Let's look at some examples. 1. Tooth. Ha. はが、はが。Number two, cat. 猫、猫。猫が、猫が。Number three, green. 緑、緑。緑が、緑が。Number two, middle high type. 中高型 in Japanese. The pitch starts low on the first molar, rises from the second, and drops somewhere in the middle. Let's look at some examples. 1. Egg. 卵、卵。卵が、卵が。Number two, heavy rain. 大雨、大雨。大雨が、大雨が。Number three, airplane. 飛行機、飛行機。飛行機が、飛行機が。Number three, tail high type. 小高型 in Japanese. The pitch starts low on the first molar, rises from the second, and drops after the last molar. Let's look at some examples. 1. Flower. 花、花。花が、花が。Number two, a day off. 休み、休み。休みが、休みが。Number three, younger brother. 弟、弟。弟が、弟が。Number four, flat type. 平板型 in Japanese. There is no place for the pitch to fall. Let's look at some examples. 1. Leaf. 葉、葉。葉が、葉が。2. Nose. 鼻、鼻。鼻が、鼻が。Number three, I. 私、私。私が、私が。Based on the four types of pitch accent we have just seen, here summarize the basic rules of Tokyo-style accent. Number one, if there is a pitch rise, it should always be from the first molar to the second molar. Of course, this never happens in initial high type, so we can say the first and second molars are either low-high or high-low pattern. Number two, if there is a place where the pitch drops, its position varies from word to word. The pitch never falls in the flat type. So we can say, following rule number one above, You don't need to remember where the pitch rises. As long as you know where it drops, you can pronounce a word correctly. Number 3, the pitch never rises again once it has fallen. Here I'd like to give a little supplementary explanation of rule number 1. Look at this phrase, その卵が. That egg is. So this phrase uses two words. その卵が. その flat type. 卵が middle high. So let's pronounce the words one after the other. I'll say it in two patterns. A. その卵が。その卵が。B. その卵が。その卵が。So, usually, その卵 is pronounced as not separated words, but a phrase level chunk like B. When the chunk is split, it doesn't sound natural. So, in other words, we can say something like this. Regarding rule number 1, mentioned earlier, the rise in pitch from the first mora to the second mora is not a feature unique to each word, but rather a feature that indicates a break in a phrase consisting of several words. Notation of pitch accent. With a notation of pitch accent, it is possible to speak with the correct accent without the help of a native Japanese speaker. The following notations are some of those found in Japanese teaching materials and dictionaries. Such guides can be a great help in learning the correct accent for each word on your own. The mora just before the pitch begins to fall is called accent nucleus. The position of the accent nucleus is indicated for the correct pitch accent as a guide. So let's look at some examples. Example A. So this down step mark indicates that the pitch drops from the next mora after that marking. So the pronunciation is 太陽. On the other hand, this flat bar mark indicates that there is no place in a word for the pitch to drop. 夕方, 夕方が, 夕方が, flat type. So let's pronounce these words. 太陽, おにぎり, 大雨, 6月, 6月が, 夕方, 夕方が. And let's look at example B. It shows two levels of pitch height, low and high. So it is easy to understand visually. And let's look at example C. It shows the position of the accent nucleus counting from the back of the word. So you can see that the pitch drops just after that number. So for example, 太陽. So from the back of the word, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the letter ta is the accent nucleus. So after that, the pitch drops. And 0 indicates there is no place for the pitch to fall. So there's no accent nucleus in this type. So minus numbers indicate the position of the accent nucleus counted backwards from the last mora because it is easy to explain common regularity by using them. Okay, and let's look at example D. This pattern is the opposite of example C. So it shows the position of the accent nucleus counting from the front of the word. So let's look at it. So type 3. So from the back of the word, 1, 2. So no, sorry. From the front, 1, 2, 3. So this is type 3. So after the letter A, the pitch drops. So oame, oame. So this is type 3. Now let's practice. Let's actually pronounce pitch accents out loud. So in this practice, use pitch accent signs and say words with the correct accent. As a hint, I will show you the symbols that indicate where the pitch drops. Use it as a clue. Pitch accent signs help you to find where the pitch drops or not. So this sign, the down step sign, indicates the pitch drops after the sign. And this flat bar sign indicates the pitch never drops in the word. So let's look at examples first. Example 1, a drawing, painting. So now stop the video and say the word and then check the answer. Okay. So, e, 絵が 絵が So initial high type. And example 2, candy, rain. So again, stop the video and say these words and then check the answer. So let's say it. 雨、雨、雨が、雨が flat. And rain, 雨、雨、雨が、雨が initial high. If you find it difficult to distinguish between high and low pitches when pronouncing a word, there is a good way to do it. For convenience, replace the lower pitch with a scale do and higher pitch with a scale mi and pronounce the word. It will be easier to distinguish the difference between high and low pitch. Let's try it with example 1. 絵が、絵が、みど、みど。So scale mi and the scale do. And let's look at example 2. 雨、雨、どみ、どみ。雨が、雨が、どみみ、どみみ。And rain, 雨、雨、 ミド、ミド。雨が、雨が。ミドド、ミドド。Now let's say the following words with the correct accent. There are 12 words to check. So when you see each word, stop the video and try to pronounce it. Then check your answer. Number 1, child. Check the answer. 子供、子供、子供が、子供が。Flat type. Number 2, glasses. Check the answer. メガネ、メガネ、メガネが、メガネが。Initial high. Number 3, shoes. Check the answer. 靴、靴、靴が、靴が。Tail high. Number 4, teacher. Check the answer. 先生、先生、先生が、先生が。Middle high type. Number 5, friend. Check the answer. 友達、友達、友達が、友達が。Flat type. Number 6, daughter. Check the answer. 娘、娘、娘が、娘が。Tail high. Number 7, fridge. Check the answer. 冷蔵庫、冷蔵庫、冷蔵庫が、冷蔵庫が。Middle high. Number 8, next month. Check the answer. 来月、来月、来月が、来月が。Initial high. Number 9, sugar. Check the answer. 砂糖、砂糖、砂糖が、砂糖が。Middle high. Number 10, work, job. Check the answer. 仕事、仕事、仕事が、仕事が。Flat type. Number 11, soccer. Check the answer. サッカー、サッカー、サッカーが、サッカーが。Initial high. Number 12. Husband. Check the answer. 夫、夫、夫が、夫が。Flat. So that's all for the practice. How was it? I think it may seem difficult at first to judge the pitch of special moras. They are small to and n sound, as well as the pitch of extended sounds. So try saying out loud as many different words as possible, and you will learn the difference between high and low pitch. Now we've seen many examples of pitch accent on single nouns. I won't go into detail here, but let's take a look at the pitch accent of compound nouns briefly. When multiple nouns join together to form a single noun, they are not pronounced keeping the accent nucleus of each word. Often the position of the accent nucleus varies according to various regularities. Let's look at some examples. The word haru, spring, plus yasumi, a day off, rest. So the first word, haru, haru ga, initial high type. And second word, yasumi, yasumi ga, yasumi ga. So tail high type. But as a compound noun, it is pronounced as follows. Haruyasumi, haruyasumi, spring vacation. Haruyasumi, haruyasumi ga. So the accent nuclei of the two words has been removed, and the new accent nucleus has been made at the beginning of the second word. In other words, the pitch drops from the mora after the letter ya. So this type is middle high. The position of the accent nucleus is determined by the number of moras and accent type of the latter noun in most cases, and different regularities are found depending on the combination of these factors. So let's look at another example. The first word, gijutsu, technology, plus the second word, kakushin, kakushin, innovation. So the first word, gijutsu, gijutsu ga, gijutsu ga, initial high type. And the second word, kakushin, kakushin ga, kakushin ga, flat type. As a compound noun, it is pronounced as follows. 技術革新、技術革新、technological innovation、技術革新、技術革新、技術革新が。So this is middle high. So again, in this case, the accent nucleus has been made at the beginning of the second word. Pitch accent of verbs and adjectives. I also won't go into details about this item today, but I'll explain very briefly. And the position of the accent nucleus in verbs and adjectives can be shifted with a certain regularity depending on the conjugated form. It is recommended that beginner learners first learn accents of the dictionary form and then become familiar with the patterns of change. And finally, here are the references. Okay, that's all. Thank you for watching. I'm very happy if you found this lesson useful. If you have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to post a comment and please also subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.